Hi and welcome. So today I'm going to show you a great new feature which is integrated into VMware Cloud, especially into VMware Cloud Tanzu Mission Control here. And we're going to set up Tanzu Mission Control so we can provision Kubernetes clusters to our VMware Cloud environment directly from there in the UI. So what I've set up here is like my VMware Cloud environment, and you can have a look at the previous video I did about actually how to set up Tanzu Kubernetes Grid multi-cloud into a VMware Cloud environment. To give you an overview, I quickly just open up the vCenter, and then you're able to see that I created a TKG resource pool into my Cloud vCenter, and you see that we have a TKG management cluster running here, and obviously I already created some workload clusters here into TKG. So I can do a Tanzu management cluster get, for example, and then I will see that I have my management cluster here with Kubernetes version 1.2 for running here, and everything seems to be fine. So let's have a look further into our VMware Cloud services here, and let's switch to Tanzu Mission Control, because what we want to do, you see that I don't have any clusters here provisioned, and I actually want to leverage Tanzu Mission Control here to just like manage and provision clusters from day one, so as well lifecycling them directly from Tanzu Mission Control here. Another benefit is I can just enable my developers here, give them access via the Cloud Console. They can provision a cluster from here and directly get the credentials from the portal here. So I will switch to administration here and to management clusters. And as you can see that basically we have like management clusters integrated here. So which is like the one is hosted in AWS, and the one is like a vSphere with Tanzu, so a TKGS cluster from an on-prem environment. So right now, I just want to register our management cluster here, and I just call that VMC, for the time being. I will just assign the default cluster group, so it will inherit the policies here. I don't want to have any labels right now. And basically what it provides me is a URL for the installer. And I can simply just like copy that URL right now and switch back to my console and register that now with the command. So this is like, I think, Tanzu management cluster register, and then --tmc -registration -URL, and then be sure to paste that actually as a string. Just being said, if you're setting up a new environment right now, you can also do that at the very beginning in the installer. So for me, that feature, I'm just G8, and I want to leverage that, so it's easily to be set up just afterwards here, like you can see. So now we registered the cluster, so let's have a look what's going on, and let's switch back and try to verify the connectivity here. So that may take some time. Actually, you don't need inbound connection from the VMware Cloud Console, so everything will be an outbound connection from our management cluster towards that. So let's have a look at what's going on into our management cluster. So I have the context set up to have a look at my management cluster, and I see that, so there are new pods running into my VMware system, Tanzu Mission Control namespace. So obviously we attached the cluster successfully, and that pods should communicate to our control plane. So in case you want to troubleshoot something, you can of course tail the logs, but for me that looked already very good, and I'm just switching back here to my console, and what I can see that basically I'm getting reported that all my extensions and health looks fine here. And I can even have a look at the workload clusters, so the actual workload clusters which have been created previously to attaching our VMC management cluster here into Tanzu Mission Control. So as you can see, I can as well deregister that. I can edit the labels if I want to. but actually I successfully integrated that with Tanzu Mission Control right now. So let's assume we gave access to Tanzu Mission Control to one of our developers, for example, and the great thing is now, from now on, everything is fully self-service. Yeah? And even for the admin, it is very easy now to create a cluster, which is then automatically integrated with Tanzu Mission Control. So as you can see, like clusters, we don't have any cluster yet, which is managed. So we could make the clusters we provision managed clusters, but I just want to go and show you how easy it really is to create a cluster here from Tanzu Mission Control onto VMware Cloud. And I'm just going to create a cluster. So we selected the management cluster, which is like our VMware Cloud environment. I want to provision that in the default namespace. So I want to just call that, let's say ADAS-TMC. So let's assume this is my username. I have a default cluster group in here. And basically, yeah, where do I want to provision that? I want to provision that into our SDDC data center. And you see that actually I have the capability to select the versions here. So I just provision the two clusters. So I want to just provision an older version, let's say, to test my application here. And basically, what I need to provide as well is just like the public key here, which I'm going to copy. So you can copy that to all your systems to give me access. And you need to provide a public key here, yeah, in order to log onto the nodes in case you want to troubleshoot something. So basically what I want to do is setting up the Kubernetes network, right? So I need to set up the Kubernetes network, and that should be my network here. So my ADAS network I created. So I will leave the default pod siders. And then I need to specify where do I want to provision that. So I want to provision that into my TKG resource pool. So the same pool where I had that. I want to provision that into my folder here. So into my TKG folder. And I want to provision that on the workload data store. Very important. So then basically it's a development cluster, so I will go for a single node cluster here, and then I need to specify the control plane endpoint IP here. This endpoint IP is just an IP address into the range where your nodes will be provisioned, and we don't want this to be a DHCP address since it's our API endpoint for Kubernetes. So we rather choose to have a static IP here where somebody can then connect or authenticate you. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So I don't want to have any specifics here, so I just will go for one worker node as well because it's my lab environment and I'm a little bit short on resources here. I don't want to have any nodes or cloud labels, but they can be very useful if you think about placements across different environments, for example. And then I'm just going to hit the create cluster button, and my cluster is being created. So after my cluster is created, just to show you the bridge that basically, yes, it's created into my vSphere, my VMware Cloud environment here. I'm having the control plane node and the worker node as expected. And I see that, okay, my cluster seems to be healthy. And the nice thing here with Tanzu Mission Control is really you can give granular access rights now to your developers to simply retrieve the kubeconfig. So they don't even need access to vCenter or something, but what I want to do is just access this cluster, right? And what I can simply do here is just download the kubeconfig file. So every developer can do that who has then access to the API endpoint. And it already tells me how to basically access the cluster here. Yeah. And I can do this by just pointing, either merging the kubeconfig to my default file or just using that command here. So in my case, I will just use the command here and quickly have a look at the namespaces with that kubeconfig which is provided. And you see that, my cluster is created. So this is the cluster we created about half an hour here ago. And I can have a look at the pods, for example, and you see that all my pods are running and are healthy, including the AVI integration, which I have set up here. So and you're good to go. So your developers are good to go. You can leverage all the benefits of VMware Cloud, including the persistent storage with vSAN, including the load balancing out of the box with AVI here. And you can give access simply to all your developers now just by attaching them the roles into Tanzu Mission Control, and they can provision their resources into the VMware Cloud environment. So I hope you enjoyed that video. In case you have questions, reach out to me and let me know.